Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're ready to call our meeting to order. Could Secretary get a roll call, please?
Chairman Richards.
Here.
Board Member Brewer.
Here.
Board Member Rogers.
Yes.
Board Member Stevens. Here. Board Member Wilson.
Here.
Okay, if everyone would please stand. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone would put your cell phone on silent. I made a mistake last week. I'm not doing that. It was under mine also. I'm guilty of that also. We have prior minutes to approve from January the 8th regular meeting. We've had two special call meetings, one on May the 1st and one on May the 8th. If we could, I'd like to have a motion to approve those, or if there's any objections or anything needs to be changed in them. Let me know.
I make a motion we approve the minutes from those three meetings.
I second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second to approve the previous minutes. Get a roll call vote, please.
Board Member Brewer.
Yes.
Board Member Rogers. Board Member Stevens. Yes. Board Member Wilson.
Yes.
Chairman Winters.
Yes. We've got about 18 items on our agenda this evening, but we're going to rearrange them. The first item that we're going to hear evidence on is the property at 1503 McDonald Avenue. And if we could get an updated report from the building inspection office, please.
Good evening, everyone. Michael Howell, building official. We were able to conduct an interior inspection of all the rooms today, along with Hamilton County Environmental Assessment. There were two rooms that could not be occupied at this time. I think there were 110 and 118, but all the other code violations that were noted in the previous inspection have been rectified.
Okay. Anything added from the fire marshal's office or anything?
All life safety violations that were noted in the previous report have been fixed.
And so everything's up to code city-wise. And you said the Hamilton County Environmental Health Department, they were present?
They were present. I'm not sure if they were supposed to be here tonight. I'm not sure if they're out in the audience or not.
Okay. You know if all of their code violations have been brought up to standard?
That I don't know. They have the paperwork.
I have the grade. They received an 81 today. And they are coming. Maybe they just thought they could come later since we were at the end of the document. We were on the minutes. I'm not sure.
Okay. If you would, for matter of record, state your name, please, again.
My name is Rob Carden. I'm an attorney at Spears Moore, Redmond, and Williams. I represent the waiver from the
Okay, Rob. Okay, so understand you've got some new rules and regulations in place you'd like to tell us about.
We do. It was really that meeting, the emergency meeting on Wednesday, was two-pronged. There were code violations, which we admit, and the other issue was safety, general safety in the community. I'm not talking about whether the smoke detectors are operational. I'm talking about whether the citizens of East Ridge feel safe with the Waverly Motel in operation. That's what I understood the issue to be, at least in addition to the code violations. So I worked with Mr. Patel, and we came up with some rules, and we have some options moving forward. But one of the issues that we dealt with was the amount of time that people were staying at the motel. That was admittedly one of the violations potentially that this board was concerned with, but also it can be a mechanism for illicit activity if individuals are staying at the motel for long periods of time. It was also part of the problem with the overall condition of some of the rooms because those individuals were staying so long and refusing cleaning service, there wasn't regular checkups in those rooms. That's got to stop. The new rules, they are posted in the check-in counter at the Waverly. I had a copy that I provided to you, sir.
That's great.
I'll hold them up for the other individuals if you can't read them.
You wouldn't read them out loud, please, so that in that way they'll all have knowledge of it.
No, rule number 1 is 1 week maximum. Even if you pay daily, that's the most you can stay at the Waverly. And that does not mean that you can stay at room 101 for a week, walk out, check into room 102. It's 1 week. That's all you get.
Even if there's another occupant.
That's it. There cannot be guest A of a 3-guest operation, and then they just rotate. Guest B has suite 2, guest C has suite 3. They're guests. And one of the ways that we can combat that is by requiring valid driver's licenses, not just from the paying guests, which we were already doing, the Waverly was doing that, but also from every guest that stays at the Waverly. So in addition to paying guests, the Waverly is going to do a good job about making sure that every guest on the property, whether they're an invitee of a guest who has paid, or a guest that is paying at the Waverly, has a valid ID when they're on the property. Without a valid ID, they are not allowed to be on the property. They are not allowed to stay at the Waverly because a paying guest has invited them to come to their room. These are the rules of the motel. If you don't like them, you don't have to stay there. No.
If you don't mind me saying something, I appreciate that rule, but what about all the construction fixing to come to town, all the workers that are going to be coming from out of town, that need places and locations to stay?
At this point, we're more concerned about being open and operable.
Right.
And the biggest concern from this council, in addition to the code violations that we had,
I understand.
was the safety. And I think to their detriment, the Waverly will likely experience less occupancy as a result of these rules, but it's better than no occupancy. And they want to make sure that even if there are transient construction workers, we can give them a week. They'll have to find additional lodging after that. And we can revisit that, perhaps in another meeting with the council. If there is major development which has been discussed, there might need to be a revisit of how long people can stay at these motels during that development. That would take many months, and perhaps at that point we'd feel more comfortable about the clientele who would be staying there. They might be city contractors.
Right, I understand.
And that makes a difference.
I'm gonna let you proceed, I just don't want you to go through on that one.
Max 4 people per room.
Right.
And that's for the beds, that's for the 2 beds. 1 bed, 2 guests. No exceptions. Children, we had one instance where there were multiple children. That's technically not what's allowed. And Waverly is committed to moving forward proactively following city codes and rules. So without making exceptions, they don't open themselves up to violations. And if that's what it takes, that's what they're willing to do. 2 bags of clothes per room is designed to prevent transient stays. Sometimes these individuals don't have lodging outside of the Waverly, and there's good and bad aspects to that. Some of these individuals are hardworking individuals. Some of these individuals are good citizens and have nowhere else to go. But bad apples can ruin it for everyone, and the Waverly is interested in making sure that they don't have any violations. If you have 2 bags, you're likely not there for long term. No drugs, 0 tolerance, no warnings. Any violation that they find, any suspicious activity that they see, they have 11 security cameras installed. They have post-its on the property about the cameras. They are positioned towards the parking lot and the entrances into the motel rooms. Suspicious activity, drug use, no questions, you're out. And quiet time starts at 10 p.m. I don't know if they had that many noise complaints, but once it's nighttime, if people aren't getting to bed, then we need to make sure that the area is at least quiet and safe.
I think there was a lot of traffic. You know, you're in a position there where you have a convenience store, you have a motel, and then you have a residential area. And there was a lot of foot traffic through the neighborhoods, especially late at night. And they shouldn't happen in a residential area, especially with a lot of traffic. Previous things that have been going on at that facility.
I've also spoken to Attorney Litchford, and I have an open records request form, but I have reviewed the call log for the 911 calls that were mentioned at the prior meeting, and there were numerous calls. But what we want is to work with the city on an open records request that wouldn't impinge on active investigations or result in objections for the records that we're requesting, because we're interested in knowing who these individuals are that are perhaps repeat or habitual offenders. And if they are breaking the law while they're either staying at the Waverly or on the Waverly's premises, they will not be invited guests. They cannot come back and stay again. We'll build a list for that. We can show you that we built that list after we've gone through the open records request and developed the names of the individuals who have been a problem for the citizens of East Ridge, which has also become a problem for the Waverly.
I know a lot of these extended stays have gathered a lot of maybe sex offenders that are having problems staying. I know there's one in Chattanooga that recently changed ownership. They went in and went down the list. They run a background check on everybody. Anybody who's on the sex offender list was asked to leave that were evicted. They also, it's mandatory housekeeping now at that location. And what's your requirements on housekeeping?
There will be daily inspections. There cannot be a refusal. There can be a refusal to clean, but we are allowed it. We request entry, and we're denied, and then the guest stays. They can turn down cleaning. We're not going to prevent that, but if they don't want us to see what's going on in that room, we have concerns about the safety for the other guests in the room, as well as the
We're
neighborhood.
going to fully enter that room all the way towards the back, so that you
Correct.
make sure that nothing's being.
Make sure the smoke detector hasn't been disarmed. Make sure there's no one hiding in the corner.
Yeah, in the shower.
Yes.
I just saw Mr. Wilkes walk in the building a few minutes ago from Hamilton County Health Department.
Yes, sir.
Do you mind standing up and advise us of your findings, please?
We did a complete inspection of the facility today. There were approximately 20 rooms. We went into each 20 rooms. Giving the score today was an 81, passing score, but we had one critical for a small roach infestation in 3 rooms. They're going to have a lookout, pest control, I think, return tomorrow, and they should be able to review finish the findings. One of the things we were able to do today is the rooms, of course, were occupied, so we were able to go on, as well as the storage rooms, the outside area, and I spoke in detail with the owner and the attorney who was there, so over there, as well as his assistants that we have to clean the facility. So we had no objection, sir, to this facility being continued permitted to operate this time.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's just our
Can I ask a question about that? Is there any mold in the, you said there's definitely an infestation, you guys are addressing that. Is there any mold in the property?
Yeah, I didn't see particularly well. There's some small things in the tile in the showers where they've had some leaks and stuff.
Sure.
It's a broken tile, but not significant.
Okay, thank you.
And I would like to add that Lookout Pest Control has been on contract for months prior to this. They have monthly interior and exterior pest treatments. They have one Friday, interior.
Has that been something that the previous tenants have, or guests have refused, and possibly why you have that infestation?
Potentially. But
Again,
it's
you're not
general
allowed to
general
have
pest
it.
control maintenance.
Can I just say too, I very much appreciate you guys coming in here a few days later with a list of rules. You're very proactive in trying to change the perception and change the motel.
They've had 2 general contractors on property since the day after our emergency hearing. They've worked every day believe the tally, they're sitting at around 65 hours worth of labor at this point. And they've actually remedied the 2 rooms that there are issues with, but they've not been re-inspected, so I cannot represent that they're clear.
That's fine.
But they have tackled the issues in the 2 rooms.
Is that all of the rules? Did you finish the list of rules?
Yes, ma'am. Those are the rules. And if there are rules to implement from the commission, invite them. I think at this point, there was obvious neglect in terms of the code violations, and there was a general lack of proactivity as it related to the safety. And this is a wake-up call. They've been out of business now for 5 days. In addition to the lost revenue, they've spent quite a few dollars of their own money on fixes that admittedly needed to be made. But they know that this can't happen again. They have to be proactive all the time, not just 5 days after an emergency hearing, but as a business practice, they have to be proactive.
I know, if you don't mind me asking, Ramela Patel is listed as the registered agent
Yes.
for this limited partnership. And I know under limited partnership, their liability amounts to whatever their investment is in this property. Are there any other property owners that are involved in this property? Is it strictly Ramela? Ravendra?
Patel and Ramila Patel, their husband and wife.
So her husband's involved in it also?
Yes.
A limited partnership?
And they are Roshan's parents, by the way.
All right.
Mr. Patel was actually born and raised at the Waverly.
Right, and I think you said he was born there. Is that
Well,
correct?
I think he was born in a medical facility, but that's where he was.
Yeah, he said they were living there when he was born.
Yes.
Okay, I misunderstood. Any of the other board members have any questions?
Who's gonna be in charge, like when the officers come down there, they've never seen the general manager there, it's always,
Bush will continue to be, and he's present here, this is the other individual that we spoke about at the emergency hearing. He'll be there daily, as he has been in the past, to assist with law enforcement calls should those occur, and those individuals, if that turns out to be a crime or dangerous activity, that'll be another individual that will no longer be welcome at the Waverly. Roshan, the gentleman to my direct right, or left, is the general manager of the facility, but Bushwick is there daily. Roshan comes when needed, and he comes every now and then to check on things. He will be responsible for ensuring Bushwick's compliance with the rules. He will be available to communicate with the commission moving forward and make sure that Waverly will not operate like it used to.
I've got one other question, just curious. Does your limited partnership company, did they pay their employees by the hour? Do they do that by city if they were without
Yes,
the traditional way of doing business?
correct.
Any other questions? Well,
I've got quite the
Yeah, I've
list.
got questions.
I'll let everybody else go.
you got other questions for me?
Okay. Again, I really do appreciate that you guys have done quite a few things, and I do have kind of a long list because it's things that I've thought about since we last met. Do you have a security plan in place other than those cameras to monitor what's going on the outside of your rooms and things like that? Do you have anybody on the property that's, working as a security guard or anything like that?
Not currently.
Are you open to that? Should it be?
If these measures do not bring about the safety that the citizens of East Ridge demand and deserve, then there has to be something there to provide that safety.
Absolutely. From you guys, I would ask, and this is going to be difficult to answer without some statistics, but do you find that the properties in the city that have some kind of physical security on that property has less problems? I know, like I said, I know that's kind of a tough question. I guess I'm more brainstorming that too, but I'd really love to see some tighter security. Of those cameras that you mentioned, they are all functioning?
They are all
Are
functional.
those all new since this has happened?
Yes,
Okay.
and
So it wasn't that you previously had them and nobody was,
there were some cameras, there are more.
okay, can you tell me again, because I apologize, I didn't hear. You said that you have 10, 11, and where are they pointing?
They are all pointed, if you orient the property from a satellite view,
Right.
they're all positioned on the exterior of the property, looking at the entry doors and the parking lot as
You
the
can
parking
see-
spaces are
you can
up
see
against the
both.
building. And
Okay.
it's all the way around.
Okay, and that is new, okay. Back in the summer, the planning commission did set a precedence for security for an apartment complex. And, is there a way that we can do that for motels and hotels in this city? Is that something that we would do?
We would want to do that through ordinance. Currently, we have the in-state ordinance, we have other ordinances that relate to it, and we want to use ordinance.
That would be obviously something we want to look at least in the future.
And I can add, if it's required,
Oh, yeah.
we certainly will not try to violate that.
So one of the things that I actually had on my list, you sort of addressed, and that was what plans you have to improve your image as well, because in the community, it's not great, you know. So do you have any other plans to really improve so that there's proof in the pudding? All of the groups that talk in East Ridge and everything, that they're gonna see that you're doing this, or
Right.
see that crime go down.
I think, printing these rules out and implementing them are many different things, and you're right on that point. The proof in the pudding will come about through essentially science. If the Waverly is not a topic of discussion or a continuance disturbance with 911 calls, not hearing about the Waverly is better than hearing about
That
the
would be-
Waverly, especially in forums like this under circumstances like these.
Have you thought about, because you said that they're posted at check-in, put them on the back of the doors like the fire escape plans?
That's
just
a great
so that
idea.
It absolutely is
That's
in their
That's
face.
an easy fix.
And you might want to have them initial it when they check in. That they understand that they're, let's see, so give me just a second, sorry. Roshan, do you plan to be a little more active in the day-to-day operations now that you're trying to shift things? And are you pretty quick to be able to get to the property when there's a problem? Okay. You've got the valid driver's license, that's great.
And that's for all guests.
Yeah, which I appreciate that too. So the last thing I have is, you guys have a really prime location in East Ridge right now with the growth that we have going on. So do you have any plans as a company, as a business, to evolve with our city as we grow?
Yes, ma'am. There have been discussions with city officials about redevelopment. It could be another motel, just more of a boutique hotel. It could be a different business enterprise entirely. Those discussions have occurred now.
Yeah, because you're in a great spot.
There will come a time when the market will likely bear out much nicer accommodations at that particular location.
I think having a nicer accommodation will bring you a better restaurant, obviously.
Absolutely.
And the last thing, and I'm sorry, because you did address the drugs, but what you did not address is prostitution.
That was news to management at the Waverly, and that admission was not taken lightly. There will be absolutely no illegal activity.
So is that going to go on
That
to your
is-
list as well? So
We
that
can
it's-
add it in blatant terms, and absolutely we can reprint these these pieces of paper and add that as an explicit rule. But if there has been evidence of that in the 911 call logs, that individual would be treated as such, you know.
Again, to the codes, are we seeing things other than prostitution and drugs there as far as illegal activity? Is there anything specific that we need to point out? But we don't have anybody, that's fine. That's fine, okay, sorry, my law was just. And I want to see you guys succeed, I want you to clean that place up, do that.
How many hours are the cameras recording?
They're on 24 hours a day. And recording 24 hours.
How many hours or days before it rolls over?
The loop. Most cameras like that are 48 hours. These are color images, you know, that's high data.
Really depends on your hard drive.
And the
You know,
quality
when you
of
get
the
2 or 3 terabyte, it could be up for 2 or 3 weeks.
Are you guys doing that yourself, or is that through a service so it's being uploaded to the cloud so that you do have a database to go back to? Is it
You got
more-
a server there with a hard drive in it, and that's what you're recording on. Now, you can increase the terabyte hard drive on it, and you could have it to last for a month if you wanted to. And they're not that expensive to increase the terabyte hard drives.
And if law enforcement needs to see footage, it's just a simple request. There's no reason why they would not show the officers the evidence of suspicious activity. If there was a phone call, the officers are more than welcome to come to the front desk, identify the location of the call, rewind the tape. We can see it.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question for the on-site manager, Mr.
Bushwick.
Yes. Are you aware that we have a city ordinance that was passed in 2016 that extended stays were limited to 120 days maximum? Were you aware that they put that into effect? Okay. Have you ever furnished that information to our city?
Last time I gave information, I told him, we do not stay more.
Okay.
Why he sick, that's why I give one more. But that is not now.
Okay. Have any city officials ever requested that information from you? They have? Because it's very important that our city stays on top of this, and we're following rules just like we're asking you to follow rules.
This time I mistake, but next time I cannot go more than one.
Okay. The next question I have would be, I noticed around the various rooms, there were a lot of ashtrays where people were smoking in the rooms. Every hotel I've ever stayed in or whatever doesn't allow smoking in the rooms. Have you thought about putting that in effect, that your tenants can't smoke in the rooms?
That's really a question more for Roshan.
Okay. Have you considered that, or would you consider that? Okay. Because to me, it's just a situation, a bad situation there. Could lead to fires or things like that.
Sometimes it leads to tampering with smoke detectors themselves.
I think a lot of what's happened with smoke detectors is people were smoking various substances besides tobacco, where they were disabling the smoke alarm so they wouldn't be going off because of the situations there. I also noticed you had one hot plate sitting on top of the clothes rack. Part of our ordinance says that people can't have hot plates or other things like that in the room. Will you make that a restrictive part of your orders?
Yes.
Required?
That was actually a guest's room.
Okay.
You know, they don't go through the luggage, but they did notice that in the photos, and they are aware of that as a violation.
Also, there's the other hotels, as Mr. Winters talked about. They do not trade rent for services such as cleaning as you were doing with one tenant. Will you use an outside cleaning service or an outside employee to do those daily and weekly cleanings in your facility? Or will it be a guest that lives there? Maybe that's
At this point, they haven't considered that.
Maybe the three of you need to discuss that, and then when you come back to us, we look at what your plans are there. On payments for your guests, or can we suggest that they either do a debit card or a credit card rather than paying cash?
We thought about that, sir, and there are individuals who do not have the means to have a bank account. and that makes debit cards impossible. And
No.
No, it doesn't.
You can
They
get
go
rid
to
of
the
one.
Mount Code and buy one. of
Well, I
these
guess they
up
can buy a
at
gift card.
Express Or whatever,
They've got a debit card that's real.
and it'd be reloadable, but that way, I know in the medical industry, as far as part of the opioid situation, you cannot cash pay a doctor anymore. It's just part of the law and legislation, and it's cut back on a lot of nefarious behavior. And, you know, it's not that we're singling you out, it's just that, you know, the situation has arisen here in the city, and we're just happy to show you guys a lot of love and attention, and unfortunately, it's the wrong kind of attention that we're giving.
It's tough love. It's pretty tough love.
You know, unfortunately, we're having to treat you as you were one of our children, and that's tough, but, you know, we want to see you succeed. We'd like for you to look and also discuss with our city manager and Kenny Custer the possibility of utilizing some of the border region money and take advantage of maybe an exterior remodeling and look at changing your name or whatever, like you said, a boutique motel or things like that. East Ridge is fixing to explode, and I know you have
Some of those funds have been involved in the city official discussions.
And I know that you own, what, the one house behind you and another one across the street. Has our codes department ever had a need to inspect either of those homes to see if there's any situations or problems there in those two houses? I saw pictures where one of them was cleaned the other day by a cleaning service, and it was disgusting, the condition of the house was.
Was it, which home, sir?
I'm not sure which one, they just sent me a picture, said someone just recently moved out. You would know more which house was turned over recently, it was in the last 2 weeks. So, I don't know which one it was, but
They removed a tenant in that facility.
the pictures that I was seeing are, and it's kind of coincides with the guests that are staying at your hotel. They just really don't care about your property. All they care about is, you know, their next hire, or, you know, where they're going to locate their next funds and things. And, you know, it's just very important that we clean our city up. Let's see, I was wondering if it would be possible for you to use a smartphone or a digital camera when people did check in. You have the right deal. Well, everybody's going to have a valid driver's license. You have to recognize that in this day. Many of the millennials, generations, these don't drive. They don't have a license. Would you be willing to take pictures of them and attach it to their check-in file?
At this point, we could consider that, but at this
Let's
point,
talk it over.
yeah, no valid ID, and you're not there. Gen Z, millennial, Gen X, whatever.
Okay.
Right now, we're going to focus on valid IDs because I think that helps law enforcement in the event there is some activity and an individual cannot be found.
Right.
We have a photocopy of that valid ID.
And you can get a state ID. It doesn't have to be-
That's true.
Can I insert something really quickly? It's very easy to keep swapping hotel and motel. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody, be it the folks that are here to listen, that, you know, under our current city ordinance, you are a motel, you're not a hotel. A hotel is enclosed, is that correct? And then, and you're not an extended stay. You've operated that way a little bit on the fringes, that you're taking care of, you're not an extended. You are classified under our current ordinance as a motel.
Correct. I apologize if I've interjected.
You have, it's just, it keeps being thrown around all over because
I think at the last.
everybody does
I
that.
may have called it an apartment meeting, but.
I don't, yeah, but I just wanted to clarify, pretty much for everybody, that this property is classified as a motel.
Anything else? Okay. Okay, Keith, go ahead.
We've been listening to y'all saying what you did and what you're going to do, but I haven't heard anything about from you. You take it in good lines, y'all want to sign him off, y'all want to be active, saying, you know, what you did.
So, yeah, so as far as the emergency type situations that they had at the motel, they come into compliance. They still have a few issues there that can be taken care of outside of the rooms that we've already spoken. We spoke to them today about it again. So yeah, I'll be dealing with the Waverly for quite a while.
I'm curious about, we monitor and figure out, because you guys are coming into code, which is what brought you to this, but, I think the city of East Ridge, the citizens and the government want to see more, see those rules be followed out.
Rules in action.
Yeah, they will see that rule in action. What kind of?
Well, we're a board, and we solve problems.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
but it's really, it's up to the code enforcement, law enforcement, and health department to, make sure they abide by all the rules and regulations. And if they get out of line, they'll bring them back to us, and we'll make a decision from that point.
I would even propose that 45 to 60 days from now, we come back before the commission and we revisit
Yeah.
whether the rules we put into place are
How
effective.
many 911 calls?
How many 911 calls have
Yeah,
been
that's kind of what I was talking about, because I understand.
a progress report, really, and accountability to the commission.
The perception is still going to be there, but it's a nuisance until,
We can't shake that without time.
and without coming back. So, do we have any?
You do have that. You do have that authority. One of the suggestions, if I'm hearing, it sounds like all of the emergency issues have been at least resolved, except for maybe 2 of the rooms have the plumbing is still being
110 and 118.
modified. And so, yeah, I have that. So, the body could just pass a motion that they can be reopened except for rooms 110 and 118 can't be occupied, and the 45, 60-day review process, bring them back just for status updates, but otherwise they're able to operate.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? I'm looking for a motion from one of the board members, since they are in compliance, to grant them the opportunity to reopen the business.
I'll be happy to make a motion. I do have one other question as far as if they bring those other 2 rooms into compliance before they come back, generally they would call, get that approved, and then we won't have to have a meeting for them to rent those
No.
rooms all as it's clear
That's correct.
by code. Okay. Then I'm going to make a motion that you're, I believe.
Yes, citizens.
Citizens would like to speak.
Okay,
I would hope that you would let a few of the citizens speak before you make it.
okay, we'd be happy to do that, sir. We'd be happy to do that. We'll get them step aside and come on up.
Thank you. I can't see you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because I'm short, so I can't see over there, sorry.
Do you want us to step down as well?
No, you're fine.
Stay down.
There's a.
Yeah, if you would, anybody that wants to speak on the neighborhood, come on up and just state your name in the microphone, please, and your address. And
My name is Randy Sewell. I reside at 6610 Hilton Drive. That is just basically a block away from the Lake Road. I've attended a couple of council meetings complaining about the road. I kind of felt like it fell on deaf ears. Maybe this is a beginning to the end. I sure hope so. We want an end to the waiver. If history repeats itself, we've had 400 calls to that location, 100 within this year. We've had assault on a police officer. We've had prostitution. We've had numerous drug arrests. We've had numerous overdoses. Today it was shut down, we have prostitutes. They're not only affecting our neighborhood, which is McDonald Heights subdivision, it's also affecting the map code. They do their business at the map code. The prostitutes work the parking lot, the drug dealers are over there working their drugs. It's destroyed map code and community relations. I don't go to map code anymore because I don't want to face their residents. I do my business in Georgia. That's where my money's going. And it's a loss. Now, if you look at these 400 police calls, that's a taxpayer's expense. You figure, maybe they spend an hour there, 2 officers there, do the math. That's a lot of money that taxpayers are having to spend to have police a location that the owners fail to do. They have no respect for this community. They have no respect for McDonald Heights. They actually have no respect for their own business. I've been there for 25 years. Before Matco was built, Waverly was open to Ringo Road. Buell and
I recall Bob Farmer that built it back in the 60s and.
No, back in the
and he
days.
brought their way.
every room that faced north was open. And there'd be a few prostitutes hanging out there, trying to do their stuff. It's not changed. And what's made it worse, since Matco's grown, made it bigger, put a fence there, they've enclosed the Waverly in our neighborhood. I mean, it's nestled in with
I understand where you're coming from.
houses, you know,
I
with
understand.
children.
I own a business too,
And
and we have to deal with these type of individuals all the time. We eliminate them. We just send them out on the road, but I know that Mapco has made probably $2.5–3 million investment to put that, redo the location there on the corner. I mean, it costs a lot of money to put in a new C-store.
I've tried. I've talked to the district manager of Matco to get them involved. We can't go with this. They have no business in our neighborhood. There's no way we can go with this. Like I say, if this brewery gets to sell, we're gonna be back here.
Well,
You allow them to come open up, they better be on a short list. I mean, a very, very short list. It's just,
we
it
know where you're
makes no
coming from,
sense.
Mr.
I
Silver.
mean, at some point in time, you gotta say, we've had enough.
Right.
You know, we spent too much money on the,
This is the first step in saying that. We've had enough, absolutely.
you know, and I don't see it changing.
Well, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. They come up and got under code violations.
But how many
but,
times have they?
There's a public nuisance law, but that's not brought about by our board. It's brought about through law enforcement and the district attorney's office and the number of police calls they received at that location. And that's out of our realm because they violate the law.
And I want to thank this board, and I want to thank these guys over here. I mean, you started at the beginning, and it's up to them to
Straighten up or
to see what, you know, how their future's going to be. And I mean, the way I look at it, the future's not very bright. And I pray that it's not very bright. I hope you hope not.
well, thank you for the courage to come up and speak, Mr. Silver. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Judy Carr, Karr, 1517 South Max Smith Road.
Okay.
I will start by saying I'm not going to repeat everything Mr. Sewell said because I agree 1,000% if I could with everything he had to say. And as Ms. Stevens pointed out at the emergency meeting, the condition of that building didn't happen overnight, over a few weeks or a few months. That condition, that place has been in that condition, I'm sure, for a few years. And they haven't cared enough to fix it until the board brought them down here and said, fix it or leave. So how do we know that they're going to stay? Sure, he's saying, oh, we'll come back in 60 days. All right, a year from now, how are we going to know that they're still abiding by these rules that they've come up with?
Well,
You know, how are we going to know that they're not letting it get right back into the condition it's in? Because it was very obvious when any little thing went wrong, if they were taking care of the rooms and inspecting them on a regular basis, they could have fixed these small items as they were occurring rather than waiting until this. And it's obvious they didn't want to spend the money to keep things fixed up. And they're saying that they're bringing in, they've put in all of these cameras. Cameras are great after the fact. You've got a video of what took place. Is someone going to monitor those cameras 24/7? That is the only way the camera is going to prevent anything from happening. All it is going to show is law enforcement of who did it. That's a step. These need to be monitored. We live down there in this mess. It's been like that, and like Mr. Sewell said about the MAPCO, I'm literally afraid to stop there and get out of my car. I go everywhere else. Thank you for listening to my...
Thank you, ma'am.
Vicki Wallen. I live in McDonald Heights. I've been down there for about 25 plus years. Ditto on what the former two speakers said before me. It's not going to change. Even before I moved in that neighborhood, when Senior had it, one of our former fire chiefs used to take his woman down there during the day. Yeah. And that was years ago. We still got prostitutes down there. About 15 years ago, going home one night and police were everywhere. So we stopped and said, what is going on? They busted a meth lab. A meth lab! If that darn thing had blown up, it would have affected every one of us. And that wasn't the first one, and it wasn't the last one. I talk to the police officers. I thank them every time they come by for the job they do. But the calls they're getting down there are unnecessary. The stuff we're putting up with in that neighborhood, oh my gosh. I have 3 alarms on my house. 3. You know why? So I can tell if they're coming down State Line, on my road, or coming from Hilton Drive. We've had property stolen throughout that neighborhood all hours of the night. I don't sleep at night. I'm up watching the neighborhood. My alarm goes up, I'm out there looking. One night I caught somebody that was on the 12 most wanted fugitive list here in Chattanooga. Yeah, never knew I even seen him. I was looking out my laundry room window, watched him walk on down, and I picked up that phone, I called these streets, gave him a description. One of the 12 most wanted. Probably came from the Waverly. We've got a neighborhood now circling, a car in the neighborhood now circling, riding real slow and looking. But we've been watching this car, so we decided we're going to see where it went. Went up to the brick house they own behind the motel. I don't go to the MAPCO. I'm scared to. You pull in the MAPCO, you're taking a chance on getting shot. You drive by the Waverly, you're taking a chance on getting shot. These people are walking our neighborhoods. And then when they get put out of the motel because they don't have no money, guess where they go? Right across State Line to the tree line over there and camped out forever. Yep. Can we get Catoosa County down there? No, they don't care. We call East Ridge and they inform us they can't go over there. We know that. How many times did they set it on fire, Randy? I call it the naked and afraid campground. They're over there trying out for TV show. Naked and afraid. Old mattresses over there. Food, garbage. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it. I called him before he left. And I asked him, clean that place up. Would you want to live with this stuff in your neighborhood? He hung up on me 3 times and I kept calling him back because I was tired of it.
We're all tired of it.
We're all sick and tired of it. They're not going to clean that place up. I'd like to know if there was any bed bugs.
No.
Well, I'm amazed. Probably because them people don't sleep at night. They're out walking the neighborhood. We've had lawnmowers stolen, weed eaters, you name it, cars broke into. I'm so sick of it.
Unfortunately, that's happening all over.
I
It's
know, but
happening all over Chattanooga and East Street.
When you come, hey, one day we had a guy come down through there and he hid out in the tree line. And some guy come down through the state line, 2 of them hollered at me, "You seen a guy come out of the woods?" I said, "No, I haven't, but I'm watching you." In a few minutes, my neighbor gets a hold of me. I start riding around the block, seeing where this guy's going. Here comes the guy out of the woods, and he supposedly has a gun. He was hiding on the steps beside a house on State Line Road. You know where he went after the police left him? To the Waverly. No. He didn't change it. His son's not going to change it. They know they're in a prime location. I don't know, if it was me, I'd be fixing that place up, and it'd be the cutest thing ever was. Every time I see an out-of-state car pull in down there, I cringe. I want to just pull in and say, no, 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 don't stay there.
Well, ignorance of the law is no excuse. They know the rules and the regulations.
Exactly.
They own the property, they have a right to be in business. If they don't abide by the rules and the regulations, they'll get revisited by Codes Enforcement, Health Department, and this board. But more than likely, the next time it won't be this board, it'll be law enforcement if, they don't abide by the rules and regulations.
Well, like Randy said, I want to thank y'all for what you've done. You've at least woke them up. Whether they make the change or not, now it's going to be up to them, and I want them to know we're all watching you. From McDonald Heights all the way up to Mac Smith, we're watching you. And you better clean it up. We're tired of it. We're sick of it. We're sick of the finding needles on the side of the road. We're sick of your drunk people walking our neighborhoods and staring us down. We're sick of it. You don't live in that neighborhood. Go spend the night in your brick house one night. But I'd like to thank y'all. But we're sick of it. We're tired of it. And we're going to call you. We're watching. We're on high alert. We've got our own neighborhood watch page, and we do communicate.
Well, the board here, we're all citizens of these streets. We all live here. We're all concerned also.
I've got friends that have come to my house and said, God, what goes on at that Waverly? That place looks dangerous. And the MAPCO, they're afraid to stop at the MAPCO.
That sounds like the old Bryce Rail back in the 60s that used to be down by the interstate. Do you remember that?
I've lived in East Ridge for a long time. I am a die-hard, hardcore pioneer. I didn't leave East Ridge like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I don't let nobody talk about East Ridge. That's my town.
You remember Eddie Hager in the steakhouse?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I sure do. I can remember when there was only 2 lanes.
Yeah, okay.
I've lived here for a long time. I grew up in East Ridge. I used to run the East Ridge BMX track. I used to be very, very active in the political end. I backed down a little bit. I see with our new boards we've got, I see things happening. And I'm proud of it. And I think it's time for us to get the garbage out and make East Ridge pretty again, beautiful. And make them people that moved away wish they had never left. Thank you.
We have somebody else to address. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't see you over there.
That's all right.
Okay. If you would state your name for the board, please.
My name's Rick Nash. I live at 1510 Heather Street.
Okay.
I'm literally 2 doors away from the Waverly Motel. A couple of years ago, I mean, everything they're saying, I agree with. But a couple of years ago, we had a meth house down on Heather Street. It's the only duplex that's on that street. And all hours of the night, I could look out my back window and there's 3 or 4 in the morning. 2 or 3 people walking this way, 2 or 3 people walking this way. They're coming from the Waverly Motel. You look, you go down the street, they're going into the meth house. And I could tell when the meth was in, was every time that parking lot was full. Every time. Now, I only have one request, because I agree with what everybody's saying. My neighbor next door, they keep coming through his yard, through the fence there. Somebody's knocked a big enough hole out, we've all had stuff stolen, which, that's all water in the bridge, but my request is that somehow or another, you can make somebody pay for maybe an 8-foot privacy fence to go all the way down that area right there to make it harder for them to get back and forth from our neighborhoods. If we could do that, I think that would help us out a whole lot. I've been at my house for 18 years. I don't plan on moving. I'm not afraid to go to the MAPCO, none of this stuff. But I think if we could do something with a fence there, maybe about an 8-foot tall privacy fence, I think that would help us all out a lot. So
Is that something agreeable?
we've cut down on a lot of the foot traffic and.
We'll get some quotes, we can talk about that in 45 to 60 days.
if that's a condition to reopening, I'm not sure that we can get that accomplished.
Well, I mean, if it's something you
Work
can
that
work
out.
on,
I mean,
it's something you can work on, and it'll be.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming up. Anybody else?
I would like to say something. I live next a few houses down from Rick, who just talked. We're on Heather Street right there, and the cul-de-sac where he's talking about putting up the fence is where on the other side is the Waverly. So I live on Heather Street also, and Rick and I have watched night after night where he said when they had the meth house go from the Waverly over there, 24 hours a day, we would take turns staying up at night, all our property, all that's good and stuff, but I just wanted to state what Rick said about the fence. That would really help. Because that way they'd have to go around the main roads, and then the police officers could see them more instead of them hiding out, coming through our homes and our backyards.
Okay, if you would state your name. for me.
Sonia Personally, I'm sorry.
Personally?
I live 1515 Heather Street. We own our own home. Randy's been here, his mother's been here since the 1980s. And she's right. East Ridge used to be the best place to go. When I first moved to Tennessee, when Eastgate Mall was here, East Ridge is where we all went to eat, and I always wanted to live in this neighborhood.
I agree. It's changed.
Yeah, but it can get better.
It's changing again.
It can get better, and you guys are doing a good job, and we're building up the new businesses. I think it's gonna make a great difference. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up. Does anybody else have anything to say in regards to 1503 McDonald Road?
I have a question.
Okay.
Just so I'm oriented properly, this fence line that has been discussed recently, approximately how many linear feet are we talking in terms of the fence line?
He said 8 feet.
8 feet high?
No, it's 8 feet.
8 feet wide.
No, 8 feet high.
Oh,
They
it's
fixed
an 8
that
foot
fence
high.
several times, they keep breaking it down.
Okay, what about instead of a privacy fence, put chain link or barbed wire on the top? You know, they put there.
I suggest a watchtower and a machine gun.
If they could do just, what about the bar?
You're not talking about much money for any.
Do you know
I
how many
understood
feet
that,
you're
is that
talking
foot
about?
wide, correct?
4 foot fence, one's a tear now, it's 4 foot high.
How long?
Probably about 150 feet long.
How long do you estimate that this
How long is your lot?
from Nash is talking about?
Look, how deep is your property that I'm talking about where they're coming through, is probably about 150 feet long. And the house behind it, I think the motel owner owns it also, so.
Is that 1509 McDonald? Do you want the
No,
property
it's
at 1509 also?
Street.
It's
I think
Is that
it's
property that talks
1500.
about? Okay. Charlie, do you have something you want to say?
I was asking that question, I just got called up here, so.
Okay.
One other question before we go. The hot water heater is that been properly ventilated so that we don't have to worry about getting explosion or that being gas hot water heater?
Yes.
It has been
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this point, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to, even out with, I think you have an opportunity to do an example of the other hotels in the city of East Ridge. And I think our citizens tonight, showing up here in the group, that they're willing to give you a chance to move forward. And we would like to see, you set an example that we can take to the other hotel owners. I know several cities that have taken and developed guidelines for all hotel lodging, extended stay motels, rooming houses, and whatever. Maybe that will be something that we can look forward to doing and include you guys in, because you have taken a proactive basis. And I think that that's a big plus for where we're going. In regards to the wood line down there, as our city grows, that wood line is going to disappear. So I would like to see you guys, as we progress, look at having community involvement somehow. Get involved in the community down there. Have a weekend night or a weeknight where people got a chance to come up and meet you, visit your hotel, see how you made the changes, what efforts you're going through. We want businesses to come here, we want people to be local business owners and stay. We don't want, I'm not saying we don't want the big chains or anything like that, but the local small business and mom and pop business are what build America, and I think you can build East Ridge back. I think it would be advantageous if you looked at changing the name of the hotel and get rid of that negative stigma that goes with the name of the Waverly Hotel. With that, I would like to make a motion that we grant a restricted opening for occupancy and readdress this on June the, I think it was the 10th, which would be right at Monday, June the 10th at 5:30 p.m. And in the meantime, if you could work with code, stay in contact with them so they're on top of things. And those two rooms, from what was it, 110 and 118, you keep them closed till everything's resolved.
And by that you mean until they're approved by city
Yeah, they're
officials?
approved by.
So prior to June 10th, if
Right.
that's good.
I'll be happy to second that and want to say one other thing to you guys. Seriously, I'm thrilled that you came in here prepared. I know there's a lot of anger on the citizens' shoulders, and they want to be heard, and they should be heard. Hear what they said. They don't believe you're going to do it. It's proven. It's turning you into a business that grows with the direction that East Ridge is going. You have a huge opportunity to be that example to the other properties and businesses in the city that need to come up and move with the city. Take that opportunity.
Changes not for the good, we're not going to be.
We would, yeah.
We'll still be an example.
Yeah, don't be the
We're
bad
not going
example.
to be that kind of example.
Yeah.
Our city has changed, and we have great leadership now. We're working and listening to people. Let's move forward in a positive manner.
And I agree with the 30 days. I was not comfortable with 60 or 90. I understand where you're coming from to give you a lot of time. But I think right now we need to stick with 30 days and see what's going on. To keep everybody accountable, keep you accountable, keep us accountable to the citizens of East Ridge that we're really addressing the way.
Are you good with it, Mr. Ritchie?
Absolutely.
I'd like to see them get some estimates on the fence before they come back.
Yes.
We'll bring those June 10th.
Or have some fence posts up, that'd be even
Might even
better.
have a fence.
There you go.
We have a motion and a second. Could we get a roll call vote, please?
Board Member Byrne?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
No.
Board Member Stevens?
Yes.
Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes. Well, your motion to reopen is granted. I smiled at Mr. Patel a few minutes ago when Earl was talking about the name of the Waverly Motel. There's a story that goes along with that. Years ago, Mr. Bob Farmer that owned that motel and built it, his wife was a Waverly, you know, so maybe Bob's not around to hear that, you know, but it was maybe before my time. Okay. Well, we'll see you in 30 days.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
May we be excused.
Yes, sir.
We said
You have to sit here through all.
Yeah, you got to say, we're not going to get these.
We're very entertaining.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we could take about a 3-minute break, 3-5 minutes, we'll resume. Our next property on the agenda tonight is 1514 Rebecca Drive. Building inspection office, yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to make a reminder of this one. There's never an active open case on this one. This was actually by Mr. Wilson asked for an interior inspection of the church. That was never granted, but as you know, the property has been sold and the asbestos was removed from it and it's being demoed as we speak. So the south end is actually being torn down right now.
That's behind the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yes, sir.
And it was the church, correct?
Oh, this was actually the church that was demoed, not the,
It's going to be.
okay, not
Yeah,
the,
it's-
yeah.
Yeah, the other one had already
Okay,
previously been
that's
taken
what I
down.
thought.
That's correct. And the church is in demo process as we speak.
The next property on the agenda is 5325 Rose Street. We're going to get an update on that program.
Yes, members of the Housing Board, I was asked to do an interior inspection of the home. I conducted that on April the 16th, 2019, with the homeowner president, Terry Boss. There were only 2 areas noted in the house that had been affected by water damage, which was the northwest bedroom ceiling, had some sheetrock damage from water, and also the northeast bathroom subfloor. So you had a water fixture or possibly a shower that was leaking over time, and damages subfloor and some floor trips underneath. No other places in the home were noted as being damaged by the water.
So no real structural damage, just minor? No
That's correct.
Okay. So what's your recommendation on this property now? Are they in compliance?
Well, you guys just asked me just to do the interior inspection only, and that's all I did. As far as the exterior or anything like that, that wasn't part of my inspection.
As far as the other previous violations, they've all been corrected, right? As far as the property cleanup and the debris in the yard, building elevated the way it should be. Okay. Is there anybody else, any other neighbors or anybody that would want to make a statement on the property? 5325 Road Street.
I've got one comment.
Yes, sir, Mr. Fox.
This young man right here did an inspection for us. He was very respectful. We got along just fine. We gave him access to everything, and it was a very positive encounter.
That's great. I'm glad to hear you say that. And I would agree with that. Okay. We've got some really good officials out here. They have their hands full. I didn't realize it as much until this board came about 3 years ago, and I started going from one end to the other. I used to work for the city of East Ridge back in the 70s, and it's different today than it was back in the 70s. Most of the homeowners have moved out over the years. We have a tremendous amount of rental property here. People have changed. We have an influx of people from all over the world living in East Ridge now. And it's different, and everybody doesn't comply with the laws and our codes, and they've had their hands full. But we've got some good employees at the city of East Ridge, and sometimes we side with the customer if we disagree with whatever the code violation is, but the majority of the time they're right, So, but I appreciate you saying that about our building inspection office. I think they're a bunch of great guys also. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. As far as I know, this case is dismissed. Has anybody else got anything else to say?
I was curious about the building, the Burgundy building that's on the front or to the right of your house. The shingles are missing off the roof. Are you going to re-shingle that roof? You had a tarp over it at one time.
The entire roof is going to be replaced.
Okay.
Are you building?
You're right.
I
I understand.
It's impossible to run the building.
Just why, and are you going to level it up or sitting level rather than leave it one side? Okay. All right, I'm good.
That unfortunately, it comes out no light today.
I understand.
It's a lot of control problems. Matter of fact, they say it's killing.
I
I hit it with a riding bottom on it. That's how the one block is broken. And it has been rejacked.
Okay. That's all we're asking for.
I'll make a motion to dismiss this.
A second.
We have a motion to dismiss. Have a roll call vote, please.
Board Member Broom?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens? Yes. Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes. Mr. Pauls, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The case is over. It's good to see you.
Jeff.
Our next case on the agenda is 715 Belvoir Avenue. Do we have any representatives here for that property?
We should. I talked to Mr.
Okay.
Gilks. He's full build permit. Work has started out there. Again, this house wasn't one that should be tore down anyway, but it would have within a year if work would have started. Again, they have started work, and I would ask for this one to close.
Okay.
And you are going to address the situation with the flag that's deteriorating?
I will talk to Mr. Gilks about the flag.
I understand.
That's just one of those things that I don't really can't make him get rid of that flag.
It's sad to see it.
The torn and tattered American flag he has hanging
If he doesn't, we're going to talk to him. Okay, the next property on the agenda is 626 Marlboro Avenue, back for review. We have a representative here. Hello, ma'am. How are we coming along on that one?
So Ms. Seth did allow me with an interior inspection on the 25th. Found very minor issues on the inside. Was very surprised looking at some of the spots on the outside. I think she has her building permit ready to be pulled now. She's ready to start work on that. We definitely need to keep cleaning outside wise with the overgrowth. It's just a work in progress, and she's the only one doing it.
Okay, well, school's about out now, isn't it?
Yes.
You'll have plenty of time to do that, won't you?
2 weeks, and then it's a different story.
When you start counting the days, you see
Yeah.
the exhaustion.
Well, it's when May first starts, it's like, I want to be excited about the end of May, but there's so much that happens between May, beginning and the end, so we can just get to the end of May, then.
So close.
We'll have time to get all of that settled out when that happens.
Do we have any other questions?
Mr. Shipley behind you is working with a group of people that can assist you with some of that exterior cleanup if you would like, since it's just you. And it's no charge for it.
And I intended to do it myself. And I got the first load of it done myself within this last month.
Well,
Life took over and I didn't have weekends and then it rained and then, so it's been so I haven't been able to haul as much off. I've got more cut down, but I haven't been able to haul as much
well,
off.
if you just haul it to the road, the city will get it for you. You don't have to haul it.
Oh, yeah, well, hauling
If you
up
would
from the back to the front by myself.
If you will get
Yeah.
with Mr. Shipley, there's ways that there's some people that have teamed together to help out citizens like that in situations that would be beneficial, and it helps build a community back. So if you would reach out to him, it would be greatly appreciated.
Talked before, so
Okay.
thank you.
All right. I'll make a motion to close. Do you want this closed, or you just want to suspend it for 30, 60 days?
Why don't we pass it first, please?
They would move to July the that would be July the 8th. I make a motion to move it to July the 8th to revisit.
I would like to say that Ms. Seth wouldn't have to come back for that one as long as progress is being made. She's a busy lady.
We have a motion on the floor. Second. We have a motion and a second. Give a roll call vote, please.
Board Member Brown?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens? Yes. Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes. All right, ma'am. Good luck to you. Happy summer. I know you got your hands full. Thank you. Next property to revisit is 4020 Wade Drive.
Yeah, so 4020 Wade Drive, the foundation has been fixed. They actually drove down about 90 feet in one corner to hit bedrock. Work on the rest of the house has started, and they are moving along, and it's looking great over there. So I'd like to ask this one to be closed as well.
Give any objections? Close it.
I've seen it.
Any roll call vote on that?
They were working on it yesterday. They worked on it 7 days a week, seriously.
Somebody make a motion on that.
I'll make a motion that we close that.
I second. Get the roll call vote, please.
Board Member Brown?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens? Yes. Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes. The next property is 1619 Berry Road. Do we have an update on that?
We're just waiting on the quiet claim deed, and
Hello, hi. I'm James Key. I appreciate you guys resetting from the last month. I was so sick I couldn't.
Well, you said you were sick at the last meeting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're better.
One doctor said I had pneumonia, the other doctor said it's worse than that. So we'll see. Here's where we're at with this. As we talked about before when I was here in March, is that this is a property we want torn down. You guys want torn down as well. We want to do the quiet title with this issue. We have 6 flags on the title chain. contact them, offer them a small amount of money, and then sign the lease, and then we don't have to litigate with them for a year at that point. So we've resolved that with one of them. We've got the others here. One of the issues that we have found is that two of the parties are on deeds with slightly different legal description than the deed that the county did the tax sale on. And then what the tax sale, the legal description of the county attached to the order varies slightly from this one. So we've got two people that have theoretical interest because their names appear on deeds, but they never signed the deeds. So we're trying to find these people. There was one set of an individual where he was a potential heir and he was in state penitentiary. And he's got released. We've not been able to locate him since he's been released.
Can you get him declared dead?
Oh, well, but we're trying to find these people so we can get all this quiet title stuff done without dragging it out for a year if we can get these people all signed off.
Does the county give you any assistance on that?
Some general assistance, but not really helping us that much with it.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest issue really. We've got the one block of people who, we've got one guy resolved, we've got one block of people that they never signed any deed. We don't know where they're at. We've got the other people who appear in the chain for the slightly different legal description. So we've got to put them on. If we can get them to sign off, then we have that done too. So that's where we're at. It may be a factor of that, I don't know if you're familiar with that lot, but it's almost like a half acre lot.
I was by there today looking at it.
Yeah, and it's a big lot, and there's the old house that's set here. There's a garage place that used to be here that the city tore down years ago. And it looks like it really was two lots that have been put together. And I'm suspecting, although I'm not an expert in Tennessee legal matters, I'm a Georgia lawyer, I think what's happened is there were two lots and they've been combined, and that's why we've got these different legal descriptions. So that's what we're trying to resolve.
How much time do you want us to pass this case?
I really don't get this moving if we can, but if we could just move it for 2 months, just put us on for 2 months, and then we'll come in July and maybe we'll have these people located and we can get consents filed, if that would work with you guys.
I make a motion, we move it July 8th, 5:30 p.m.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Board Member Broom?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens?
Yes.
Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes, ma'am. We'll see you July the 8th.
All right,
Good luck
thank
to
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
The next property is 2005 Creekmore. We have representatives here from that property. Oh, you're the trust young man, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Last, I believe I missed one.
Yeah. We took that one.
That's what I missed too, right?
I'm just curious, do you need some assistance, or do you need us to write something down for you how to make the next move on your property?
I would love that, I don't really have like too much help.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you'll wait around a few minutes, I'll write down some contact numbers for you.
Yes, sir.
And there's some people willing to help you to sign the trusses. You need to get your garage in compliance and just give you a little guidance to get you started. I felt like you were confused and really didn't know which way to go. Is that agreeable? Is that acceptable to the board?
Make a motion, we move it to June the 10th with guidance.
Okay. I'd be happy to get where you need to go on that one. If you don't mind hanging around just a few minutes, I'll make some notes and give to you after this one, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a
Motion,
motion.
we move it June the 10th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second with respect to Gina Tant, give him time to get the compliance. Okay, roll call.
Board Member Brewer?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens?
Yes.
Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Landers?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're really trying to help a lot of these folks and everything as we can. We're not up here trying to beat anybody up, but we're just trying to get everybody, code compliant. You freeze it back down now. The next property is 1317 Pleasant Drive. Do we have any representatives here from that property? Okay, so
I haven't talked to Mr. Phillips in quite some time. It's been at least since the last meeting that I haven't spoken to him. He was still supposed to do a floodplain development form. He did turn one in, but it was not done correctly. So we're still in the same spot. We have had some police calls over there since then for somebody storing stuff in the storage shed out back and lots of wood in there. We should not call anybody in there, but it's almost becoming a
Nuisance.
no, not saying that. It's almost becoming a similar situation as it was when people were living here.
He's still not working on the house.
No.
And hasn't.
So what do we need to do to get his attention?
Well, now, like I said, now, last time I spoke to Mr. Phillips, he was going out of the country. He said he would be out for a month. Or past the month now, since I spoke to him.
Said something every time.
Yeah, so if we park a couple of dumpsters and a couple of D10 bulldozers down there, will that get his attention?
If he's out the country.
We'll keep on till we're gonna have to take it down for him. I mean, he's challenging us, or, I don't know what he's doing, but it's not appreciated.
you know, I've noticed an awful lot of people, they're trying to buy an awful lot of property up in East Ridge and the organization he's with. And I get phone calls consistently wanting to buy property. And I don't know what's going on. It seems like all the foreign countries and foreigners that's coming into the country are trying to buy up all the property they get, you know? But then they're just sitting on it after they get it, so.
We've been dealing with this case since September 12, 2018. I mean, it's pretty much now.
And who is the owner?
William Phillips.
He's a gentleman that's been here several times. And,
Yeah, I was just trying to picture it for some reason.
yeah, he's
Florida fill in and all.
And that paperwork he's supposed to get you, it's real close to the maximum amount where it says it has to be torn down, correct?
right.
No, but it's real close to where it would have to be, the home would have to be raised 1 foot above base flood. It's actually $425 shy of the 50% mark.
So if he uses pressure-treated lumber and that goes over that amount.
Any change he made to his plan that he submitted to the building department already would stop him.
I think you gave him the benefit of the doubt because I never did see any kitchen cabinets included in that price, did it?
There's a lot left out of that, but
Yeah.
it meets the criteria for.
Okay. So, Mr. Lakewood, what can we do to rattle his cage?
You've got a few options here. You can always want to have a show cause. I mean, if you order that a show cause occur next month as to why, and he has to demonstrate why this property should not be condemned. It fails to meet the standard for human occupation and habitation, and therefore you could condemn it. And the fact that we have a show cause and order that for next year, that probably will get his attention if he has to show.
I make a motion with it, we move forward with the show cause hearing with this gentleman and proceed from there.
That would be for June 10th.
June the 10th.
I second that motion.
That's gonna be his last opportunity.
We have a motion and a second. Get a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Rick, are we able to get service on him?
We haven't in quite some time. I mean, it's
And you can show up for the meetings, he's here.
Does he live there?
since the last time that you've seen him there at this meeting, is the last time we spoke to him.
we'll do certified tax card. We'll post it on the property, and send the US mail as well. And that way we got 3 versions for the show cause, which will be effective. And he'll need to come in and demonstrate why condemnation proceedings with regard to habitation of the house should proceed.
Okay, our next property is 418.
We got a first.
Yes, somebody make a motion on that. I made the motion for the show cause hearing for June 10th. Somebody got a second.
We have a motion and a second, please.
Board Member Burton?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens?
Yes.
Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Linder?
Yes, ma'am. The next property is 418 Cedar Glen Circle. And I understand we have some people from the community here that would like to make statements also, if you all want to come up. Mr. Ritchie?
I did get in contact with Hunter Hewley. So he said his insurance company considered this a total loss. If they didn't send money for a total loss on the property, which is why the work from CertaPro was so sporadic and not very much. If this is a total loss from insurance, it will definitely have to have a elevation certificate done and raise 1 foot above base flood.
I went by that house today and some of the neighbors are out working in the yards, planting roses. The house looks really nice. But the grass in the rear of this property at Cedar Glen is over 4 feet tall now.
Yes.
And there's something's got to be done about it. The property owners, they don't want to come forward to our hearings or meetings or.
So when I spoke to Hunter, he was said he would be here this evening. So I even got a green card back, satisfied service. So I mean, it's kind of, I have no idea where he's at. Check the waiver.
Now, we know he's not there because it's empty.
It's empty.
We're positive of that.
Matt Smith room.
Yeah, go get Buzz Tail. Sorry.
And I do have his mailing address. I mean, so
Where is this mailing address? Where does it go to? Is it local?
I have it with the.
Is it a local mailing address or out of town?
Yes. Bradley County.
Okay, that's my being home. I know you folks have something you want to say about it, but.
Well, I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
No, you're not.
Or just,
Go ahead.
joke about it, but before the fire, just the years of issues that we had with them as neighbors, gives us no hope that anything is going to be resolved in any sort of fast way, shape, or form. And so, I mean, even grass in the front yard is 4 or 5 feet high now, and so we just feel like we don't stay on it, that chasing the homeowner at this point is going to be, I don't envy y'all trying to do that.
Well, you know, I know we have the authority to issue subpoenas, and we need to do something to get this owner's attention. And if we could issue subpoenas for the property owner, it's a recommendation to the board, and show cause why it shouldn't be demolished within 30 days.
Can we also, just for public health reasons, as far as rodents and things like that, have the city cut?
We need
grass
to
and
issue an
charge
order
them
to have
for it?
city to.
We need to do that.
There's garbage in the backyard.
Pardon?
So, there's garbage, that,
Like
it's in my backyard.
physical.
That house is owned by my backyard, there's garbage in the backyard. I mean, they let the dogs turn around and tear up garbage and they just left it out there. The only one that kept that place up was the grandfather, not the kids. Yeah, he's passed.
Yeah, so can we have that clean, I mean, because generally,
Yeah, so you all have the authority in Section 103 under Title 13, but also CA 654-113. You all, this body maintenance, the inspectors have the authority to go and post under the law. They're required to post, and they send it to the last known address, and then we also may post, and so we have to, but attempt notification at the mail. I think you said we got certified on this, gentleman, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's try certified mail and also posting on the property as well as if we can get hand delivery. That'd be great. And we have to give them 10 days for them to clean it up. If not, then the code inspection can go ahead and order mowing in the yard and any cleanup.
Because at least that would be helpful to you guys until we can get them before us.
Let's get the neighborhood cleaned up for these folks.
The reason why the 10-day post cleanup hasn't been done is because I spoke to Hunter on the phone, knew he would be here tonight.
Right.
That's the only reason that it's not been done already. I realize it's not what they want to hear.
No, because we dealt with it on that, so we knew we would get here. We've had problems, we have to say that they lived there for 6 years and they never owned a lawnmower and they never mowed the grass unless someone forced them to. And the things they did, they beat the city. So we know that they are negligent and now that they've not been in that house and it's been burned down for more than a year with nothing done, that it's not going to change.
Yeah, I think the option you can go with is order a show cause for June 10. In the meantime, go ahead and post it for cleanup. And if they don't clean it in 10 days, the city go in and remove all the rubbish, mow the yard. That can be assessed as a lien against the property. You still have a show cause in June, and if the property owner fails to appear to show cause by further condemnation proceeding should occur, then you can take appropriate action.
And so in June, we could just take it down. We don't have to do any more waiting.
Action against the property.
I can agree with
The
that.
last time they cleaned up there, cleaned it up, cut the grass, you had to weed eater, knocked the 4-foot weeds down to about 3 feet left.
Did you say that this property is 100% lost?
So that came from Mr. Hewing. It was 100% loss from his insurance company.
Okay, did you also say that this property, in order to be made habitable again, would have to be raised above floodplain?
It has to meet FEMA regulations, yes, sir.
So that really puts a negative opportunity on the owner to even think about rehabilitating this property, right?
It definitely adds another element to bring this property to compliance.
That adds an element that would justify raising this property.
If it's raised, then who keeps it mowed and cleared up from there?
It's
Will it be
still-
catching the lane each month, or?
If they don't take care of the lien, the city will end up owning it.
Okay.
Say it again.
But we need to have their names and addresses.
Yeah, if you would, I mean, everybody that showed up, let's just, for the record, get your name and address, so we can record it here.
Jeff Blake, right side 416.
Would you state your name and address, please?
David, my wife Phyllis Reed, 6807 Cedarwood Court.
Okay.
We're around the corner, but I just feel for the ones who live close by that property who had to contend with this. And I offered to go over and mow the grass through the city, but I made sure that I checked to see if I would be trespassing, because I have a mower that can handle that, mowing that grass and cleaning that, but I didn't want to trespass the property, so.
Right. Would you state your name?
Williams, Michelle Strickland.
Strickland?
Strickland.
Strickland, okay.
338 Cedarwood, so
Okay.
we're right behind that.
Dolores Beard, and my husband Loudon Nichols, and we live directly outside.
Right
It's
side.
also on floor plan.
I spoke to the guy at the American Legion the other day, M Street, and we were talking about that property also. I think he goes California off in a cul-de-sac over there. Yeah. But, you know, there's a lot of people in that neighborhood who really discuss this property. So, could we put that down in the form of a motion? Member of the board, please. We're going to.
Make a motion for a show cause hearing.
Right.
And he will appear on June the 10th. He has, 10 days to appeal?
But in 10 days, he needs to do the cleanup.
Post the cleanup.
Grass and garbage.
Grass and garbage.
Yeah, so show cause for June 10 as to why further, they need to demonstrate, watch it, and then post for cleanup effective immediately, and in 10 days, if it doesn't apply, the city comes in, blows it, and says the rubbish.
That's my,
Okay, we get that second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We get a roll call vote on it, please.
Board Member Brewer?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens? Yes. Board Member Wilson?
yes.
Chairman Linder?
Yes. Folks, we're doing everything we know how to do to help you get that property cleaned up. If I could make it happen tomorrow for you, I would do it. But
It wouldn't be so bad, but all of us in the neighborhood, I mean, all of us, we've all been working on properties since Bass Pro Shops come through. So it's just making our properties look awful.
I know, you folks live in a really nice neighborhood down there, and it's a shame. You know.
We'll get it at least
I
mowed.
got a couple of questions too. One, and I've thought about just running the mower across there and did it for a while. If leaving the grass growing helps expedite to the end we all want, I hate for PRI or anybody just out of a heart of wanting to help to mow it. Does it work against us for us to mow it ourselves?
I don't think not at this point. We're gonna do everything we can within our power to expedite it, either get it renovated or tear it down. And if he doesn't, then we're with the board.
Okay,
We gotta do it legally.
The only other question I had, just out of ignorance, was if all the dominoes fall and the city gets it, will just a lot be then up for grabs or sale, or how does that work?
The city would put a lien on it, and,
We don't take ownership. We don't take ownership. It'll be a vacant lot.
you know,
Purchasable or?
I mean, the owner has still got full fee simple title.
Okay.
We can't force the sale.
Yeah.
So,
So we may have to, even if the house goes down, we may have to either force it in between the vacant lots.
correct.
We have 100 lots.
To keep it.
Just like this.
So that
Take care of
nothing,
that.
nothing would change.
Now, one option actually would be,
It would just look less.
it would just take, once a lien is recorded against the property, the city has the right to then go and do a judicial lien on that. Basically file a lawsuit to have that property sold, provided that the lien be satisfied. Now, nothing stops that owner from coming and buying it at that judicial sale. That is an option. It just takes a few steps. That's something that we can discuss with the city manager if he wanted us to do that. Whatever that lien amount, we just file an action to force that lien and satisfy the lien through judicial sale. Maybe get a good buyer at that point. That'd be a wake-up call.
Can you tell us, who is still being made on this house?
I don't know, like I said, Hunter just said that it was a total loss, and so any Serve Pro work that was done over there is insurance on it. And
I'm
that's
sure the
not all
mortgage
Hunter.
company probably received all the money that it was a fire loss.
Excuse me.
That's all right.
We understand from a reliable source, there's $137 mortgage. $137,000 mortgage on the property. That puts things in a desperate situation.
I don't disagree.
I know on a lot of these fire lawsuits and everything, the loss payee gets the check, and if they were delinquent in any of their payments or anything, the mortgage company would have kept 100% of that insurance check. And that might have left him in a position not to have any money to do anything with.
Any money that we give it probably is.
I was gonna say, if he gets any, if they get any money, it's not going towards the house. It would be.
Mr. Richmond,
Yes.
would it be possible?
Observers of human behavior.
Yes.
If you lived with it that long, you don't have to worry about it. You predict it.
So, would it be possible if we put that type of lien and took that property, that we make that a pocket park for their neighborhood? Because would the city actually own it at that point?
City had to show up and actually buy it at the,
Oh, okay.
the lien, at the sale.
Is,
That was in the 100-year flood, and it's my understanding, the city buys anything in the 100-year flood, it can just be retention pond or park.
We
But a park would be great, because that would enhance their neighborhood.
Well, I think it would really be good because we discussed with Terry, and I think maybe you briefly, that there is an open drain that serves our entire Cedar Glen circle. And it's on that
For
property.
stormwater.
It's
Yes,
stormwater
yeah,
drain.
see, that
And
would
it's
be.
open. It's open. There's a stretch of 15 feet, 15, 20 feet. And when it comes out of one section, it's open until it goes into another section and it ends up down in the creek and runs around, the park.
People who previously owned that property, there was a chain link fence encasing the whole area, about 15, 20 feet long, it was boxed in, so kids and animals couldn't get in there. She decided to tear that down for whatever reason. The previous owner, not the former ones that had it now. But anyway, when she took that down, she put like a little grate over it, over the storm pipe. And it just plugged up with leaves and debris, and our whole backyard was
All
flooded.
of our
Everybody's yard
yard.
was
I
flooded.
feel
It
your
didn't do
pain.
that
Different
before.
neighborhood, but I feel your pain.
But that chain link fence that was boxing that before acted like a debris filter for it.
Because it would be really wonderful to have.
The city
The
has
city built that. The city built the fence around it and fixed it.
So someone broke the law by taking that fence down.
Well, it cost.
Yeah, but there's, according to what Terry and the department says, there's no easement on that property. The city will maintain it.
So it would be a
If
win-win.
you own, if the city owned it, you have a lot of people that are really excited about having that little park, because several of the children in our neighborhood like to play basketball, and we can make them.
And I suggest that if we get this, if it ends up being raised and everything, I suggest you go to the city council and talk to them. Ask them to buy that property and do that. Because that seems like that would be a real benefit to everybody.
Again, for your service, you know you're.
I'm sorry.
Could you make a recommendation to that effect? I mean,
Well, it could, but it'll sound a lot better for coming from you.
We gotta get through June.
Because you live there.
You say that we should see something mowed within 10 days.
10 business days.
10 business days.
I will call Mr. Dealing tomorrow. Ellen Letter, we'll go ahead and close it tomorrow. I'll see if I can get a hold of him, because I understand it. The fastest way it's gonna get cut is somebody.
Well,
We have to
wait.
wait.
If y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is since that house burned, which is over a year, the crime in our neighborhood specifically, the riffraff, cars driving through,
Yeah.
people walking through, I mean, the last 13 months, very different than before. So it's not just that it's an eyesore, I feel like
It changes things.
it's changed some things. That's why we're here.
Mr. Richard, we can, the code just says 10 days, so we'll take that as 10 days and that's your business.
Absolutely.
All right, so then we should see you again in June. Is that
June
correct?
10th.
You will, so within 10 days, if Mr. Dealing has it cut, we will have a city crew that cut it.
Marvelous.
We appreciate that.
Because they're not-
We'll definitely see you, because you won't be.
Like I said, last time they cut it, they just popped the weeds and let it.
Well, and it'll be 10 days after notice is received, so it may not be 10 days from today. We're gonna get the notice issued tomorrow. I think Mr. Richard will go over, post it on the property, try to find the owner as well, and then we'll send it certified as well to his mail. So it may be a little more than 10 days, but it will, I understand it, the notice will go out tomorrow. The post it.
It'll
It'll
get
be done before June 10th.
Oh, we're looking forward.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Somebody got a motion.
Oh.
I'm the house, I'm the red, white, and blue. I changed everything, I got the cedar, so I have blue. The inside of my house is totally different, it's Native American.
Okay. Our next property on the agenda is 1700 Creekmore Road. Mr. Ritchie, maybe give us a progress report here.
So we have had a contractor come in, he was asking about a substantial improvement form. Explained everything to him, he denied, said he's not gonna take the job. Since then, I've talked to Commissioner Curry, he's still trying to get hold of survey companies, to get his elevation certificate. That's,
I've got to work hard for that. And Meadows and Hinton, they've
Dave
been,
Matthews survey.
sure, work hard for them to come do it, it's just a matter of, they're getting to it, and the way they're cooperating, when we get the elevation certificate done, and we'll follow the full survey of the property down there. They're busy and had people out sick, and the weather's been uncooperative.
So we need to pass your case 30 days. Do you think you could have it
A
accomplished?
lot of that is I'm trying to clean the place out and get all the valuables out and all the heirlooms.
I went by the property today and I noticed you've got your yard cleaned up.
Yeah, I've got a lot of
Someone,
that done. I've been getting it, never voted 3 times this year already.
Did you go by when the black couch was in our yard?
I did, I saw the
That was
couches.
the neighbors at 1702. And
How
I
was
asked
it?
her a month ago to get it out. She said she would do it. It never did get out. And so I guess maybe I'll pick it up. The city finally picked it up, but it was on our property illegally.
Okay. They probably said it there because the house was vacant and they didn't want to sit in front of it.
She's been trying to take 10 foot of our yards for years. She cut down 2 of my daddy's dogwoods and others flowers for years, trying to encroach on our property.
Ever since Whitmire was allowed to build the houses on the south end of Brigham, claimed the survey was off by 10 feet, because he was no survey from state line to
If that's so, our property line would be through the houses 1628.
be right in the middle
Because
of
it's
the
already sitting on the property line. And we do, so we had about that in 52. And I know where the property line
We
was
did
supposed to be.
control back last year, I put a roof on it for $8,250, and it looks like I may end up having to tear it down, but, hate to tear it down, but if I have to, I will. But, I need that elevation certificate so I can get, somebody to put in writing that I can rebuild there. They're all planning for their house, and that was something.
The contract, we've had 3 contractors come out and look. One, the 4th one, it was a no-show. And the papers he gave us last month and said, he said it had to be filled out by a contractor. Or if y'all looked at it, I could not find anything in those 27 pages to be filled out by a licensed contractor, as was stated last month. And the 2 other contractors that came out, they didn't understand a bit of what was in those 27 pages.
That's your substantial improvement letter or your?
yeah, so it's not formal per se, but it's a list of stuff that has to be labeled out, and it states that in this form from FEMA.
It's a
So when
standard
he handed
form.
it to us, he said we had to get a licensed contractor to fill it out, and there is nothing to fill out.
But
Per se.
isn't that something that a licensed contractor would be familiar with, that form?
Most licensed contractors, absolutely.
Not to our knowledge. I
The
thought
3
there was
that
6
looked
different
at the paperwork didn't understand it at all.
Well, whenever you run into a problem like that, you need to contact the building inspection office back and let them explain it to you.
I called his office, I went and talked to him, I went over there, and he said, get a licensed contractor, do it. They know it.
Why don't you bring the licensed contractor, and I'll bet Mr. Ritchie can talk with them.
Mr. Richard done talked to one, and he said he wouldn't do it.
He did, he came in City Hall, we sat down and talked, and he said, I don't think I'm gonna touch this, and turned around and walked off.
That sounds like a professional decision by that guy, not a confusion of what he had to do.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you find
Well, that's
another?
not what the contractor told me.
He's not here to talk today. Bring the contractor.
He said he's not gonna have anything to do with it.
Well, you need to probably find somebody else to.
I've decided 6 different contractors, and I've talked to 6, 4. You were involved. I talked to 2 others, and that way has been willing to do anything for us.
We're trying to find it and get something
Talked to
done.
this survey company to get the elevation certificate. We're hoping to have it by last Friday or today, and it didn't come through because of the
Mr. Richard,
short
how old
of
is
people and the weather.
And then my wife's been in the hospital for 10 of the last last 14 days with pneumonia, so I haven't been able to do much.
Oh,
February 4th.
So we're into almost 120 days now.
Excuse me.
My wife is a paraplegic, has some now, she's been down for the last 4 years. That's me and my 37-year-old disabled from her son that's trying to do all the work. And we're doing what we can. Between having to come over and start working and having to pack everything back up and run back over to Brunger to my house to take care of my wife, it really reduces the effective time that I can work on this on any given day. If I get 3 or 4 hours, I'm lucky. Sometimes I don't even get that. Nurses come in 3 days a week to take care of my wife. Reduces any time I can get done in the morning. But that's just asking for time to get done what I can. So I have to add it 70 years worth of accumulation.
You and another 30 days to try to come up with a contractor that helps us with this paperwork. If we do it in 30 days, you know, if we need, I know contractors issues out there, big building boom going on and stuff, finding people, but.
Contractors are busy, and survey companies are busy.
Pardon? Yeah, the drain has to go behind. You think maybe you could come up with somebody in 30 days, or give it an attempt, to come up with somebody in 30 days that you can fix later? Yeah, I understand. Well, we want to work with you, as long as you keep your property up, you keep it looking good, you know.
Work taken care of and play off as much as I can, and
Right.
do the best I can. Like I say, my
We
son's
get a
very
motion
good.
to basis of 30 days.
So,
Okay. All right.
going through the paperwork Commissioner Curry turned in about the, I think we can bypass the substantial improvement form. The original quote that he had from the last time was 66,000.
62,000.
So that's well over 50% of the value of that home. So,
You read me a value the other day on the top of the phone. Said the county has value was 22,000. That's the tax assessment, not the value of the house.
Would be 4 times that. Yes, the 25% of it.
60 is over 50% of 88, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
So you can basically bypass the substantial improvement, get an elevation certificate, and raise the house 1 foot above base flood. If you want to go off the original
Change the
quote.
date.
I'm sorry?
His office told me the basic flood elevation changes daily, depending on what happens up or downstream from us. As far as I know, the 100-year floodplain line is still where it was when they bought the property in 1952. The only change in flood elevation was FEMA sinking of the entire United States 9 feet into the ocean by raising the floodplain in these streets to 9 feet.
Well, can,
And the question
if
is,
you're jumping through a lot of hoops, could you get somebody to do another flood elevation on your house and the
That's
foundation?
why
I've got work order 4 with David Matthews survey.
Okay.
I have a signed work order in my briefcase right here now.
We need to get a contractor to come to the meeting.
Yeah.
Well, the 3 that showed up are turning the work down. The one that talked to him turned the work down. So why
And
would
the other 2
they
didn't
do
show up to talk to us about the property.
There's not that much wrong with the inside of the house.
He said it was a burn question at the last meeting.
If I understood him correct, every wall's got to be stripped down in that house for the electric work. Because your fire department ripped the meter, told us we'd have to be totally rewired to be lived in again.
Well, that helps.
On a refrigerator fire. The fire department did more damage to the inside of the house than the fire actually did. They
But
ripped
wouldn't
out
you
walls
think
and
that
ceilings.
that house as old as it is needs to be
Built
rewired? I mean,
Well, it's already been rewired once.
with,
But now we're saying we've got to move the meter from where it's located. The breaker box is going to have a little closet my daddy built around the breaker box by the back door,
Does it have 100 amp service or 200 amp?
200 amp,
It's been upgraded to 200 amp,
years ago.
and all the electrical wiring's been upgraded.
As far as I
Yeah,
know.
it was upgraded in the late 60s.
Well, my dad, they upgraded it with,
Well, the 200 amp now, because they put in the 220 base portable heater back then.
yeah, I doubt it.
They-
It's probably 100 amp.
But instead of stripping all those plasters right down to the bare can't you just strip where the wire is gonna be run and just to where you can see the new wiring in place? Because that's plaster walls, and then refill. I used to rebuild burn-out houses for Curry Contracting, we did that all the time.
Down you, Mr. Curry. But I would be for getting rid of the, I would be for getting rid of all the plaster anyway and go back up to sheetrock. Most of those old houses don't have any insulation in the walls, you know, the majority of the old ones don't, but,
Well, I'm not going, because our cost, the cost estimate, if you rip the whole insides out of the house, that's gonna shoot the cost to remodel it through the roof.
yeah, sheetrock's gonna cost you roughly a sheet, 22, it's called piggyback. But,
I was wanting to do is rebuild the house so my wife and I can move in there and make it a handicap accessible facility. It's 1368, I was gonna try to bump it up to 1764 by closing the knots on the back, full breakdown. But, you know, we're only up tearing down, I want to rebuild the way they make a new house in there. But I want it in writing that I can do that before we go any further.
Without having to build it 9 foot off the ground.
I think that's ridiculous. If
If
the
you
city of
disagree
Beech
with
Ridge is 9 feet underwater, the city of Chattanooga is gonna be in the Gulf of Mexico.
well, if you disagree with the floodplain, you need to get somebody to come out and do the flood
Well, here's
elevation.
my problem. FEMA says that the 500-year floodplain is only 9 foot high. Okay, that was their,
I'm saying, I'm having a hard time understanding.
FEMA raised the floodplain to 9 feet in East Ridge on the 500-year floodplain. 100-year floodplain hasn't been changed that I know of.
Well, the only thing we're worried about is a 100-year floodplain, isn't it?
Yes.
It's, we
That
don't
is
have anything
It's
to
10
do with
feet across
500.
Bridgeport Road
And
to
that
our
house
house.
did not flood in 1973 when Kmart got flooded. That house has never had flood.
Since 1952, there's been no water around Dad's house, ever.
I know some
And
places.
the water's been elevated.
I think we're misunderstanding about the flood elevation. They're saying it's 9 feet. When you do an elevation certificate, that house might only have to be raised a foot. It might have to be raised 3 feet.
We just don't have that elevation.
We don't have that number from a survey.
And this has been going on since February, and you've not been able to get
We didn't
elevation.
even
We didn't
get
know
into
about
it
it
till
until
April.
February.
Last month's meeting was for
Mr. Richards, it's not,
The original letter was sent out in February.
We never
to
received it.
the address at 1700 Bridgeport, where
All right.
no mail has been delivered in a year. Even though the mail,
Yeah.
I would just set it for sure cause for 30 days, they break their contract, and need to get an elevation completed, no excuses to get this thing done.
All right. Then what you guys?
I cannot control the weather, nor the contractors are supposed to be out there doing it. I have a word order,
All right.
up to him to get to it.
Mr. Rogers, do you have a motion? Okay. Would you like to make that motion that there be a show cause hearing in 30 days? Be back on June 10th. You need to bring your contractor if you've not already completed the substantial improvement form, but I think we know the answer to that already. You need to have the elevation certificate completed and be back on June 10th.
I thought it was gonna be completed last week, but that didn't happen.
Is that the motion?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Get a roll call.
Board Member Broom,
Yes.
Board Member Rogers,
Yes.
Board Member Stevens. Yes. Board Member Wilson,
Yes.
Chairman Winters.
Yes, we're going to revisit this again in 30 days. See if you can get your contractor together and get you an elevation certificate available. And you can protest the elevation certificates. You know, if you think you're not in a floodplain, I did it on a piece of property and I'm in Georgia, and I came out to the good. So, get somebody, a surveyor, to do you an elevation certificate. Possibility he'll take you out.
When we were talking about that water, going 10 feet across Bridgeport Road into the property on Spriggs, that Bridgeport's been elevated 4 or 5 inches, and they have a hard time getting over to that right now. But that beside the point, that foundation on Dad's house is 2.5 concrete blocks in the front, 3.5 concrete blocks in the back before you ever get to the floor steps.
Well, we made a motion, we vote. We're good?
We're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see you
We're
June
good.
10th.
See you in
In 30 days, or later.
June 10th.
5:30
One,
p.m.
one quick question for you. Are any of y'all veterans?
Come on, Paul.
Thank you for your service.
So is he.
Any of y'all retiree? You're not a retiree, you're not the same boat as me. Thank you. What is your veteran of the Air Force?
Four, make sure you get the relationship certificate completed and bring a contract.
Of course, what the contractor told me.
Okay, the next property is 4308 DuPont Street.
For the meeting.
Do we have anybody here from that?
They will not be here tonight. I did a walkthrough on the house today. They finally got the entire thing cleaned out. There was a massive amount of stuff in this house. The dumpster's been dumped 3 times. Now, when I did walk through Mr. Southers today, this house is in really, really bad shape. He is definitely gonna hit well over 30% of the value of this home, so it's all gotta be brought into code. He is actually wanting just a couple more days to see, he's getting with his contractor to see if it's gonna be better just to tear it down and start over, which would be my recommendation to him, or if he's going to try to repair everything in there. It's bad. I wish I had updated pictures to give you. I didn't have the time to print them out today.
Okay. So, you want us to revisit this one next meeting? Are you requesting the?
Yeah, I mean, I should know something within the next couple of days on this, so the next meeting should be plenty of time.
Make a motion that we pass this 30 days.
To June 10th.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to pass it to June 10th. Vote please.
Board Member Broom?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens? Yes. Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes. Next property is 4165 East Ridge Avenue.
So this home was sold to a Portia Buchanan. It actually closed April 19th. No permits have been pulled yet. She has had the locks changed and everything secured over there. She's actually working with an engineer at the moment to try to change the layout of the house. That's why permits have not been pulled. She's just gonna need some more time. She said work should start within 45 days.
Okay, you want us to revisit this one in 30 days?
Yeah, well, I would pass this one for probably 6 July.
July 8th.
2 months.
That's 16. Make a motion, we pass it to July 8th.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call please.
Board Member Broom?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens? Yes. Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes. Next property is 39 Frawley Road.
They will not be here. This is the easiest one we've had come through here.
Make a motion, we bulldoze the property down for the homeowner.
She signed a letter saying she wanted it tore down, and she's all for just send her the bill and send her the link. That's exactly how she told me. So.
And she lives in.
Is that the one who gave us
Yes.
that property line?
Yes, so it would be the building itself and then an outbuilding. She actually sent the letter saying both.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion that we proceed on this to demolish it?
I did. I make a motion, we bulldoze it down.
A second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call please.
Board Member Broom?
Yes.
Board Member Rogers?
Yes.
Board Member Stevens? Yes. Board Member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes. It's my understanding we have Mr. Rick Stallard here. Want to talk to us about the property up on Gleason Drive.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
I was supposed to get a structural engineer to look at my property.
Right.
I don't like to give sob stories because I get them all the time, but I am going through a divorce and my kids are not handling it well. And anyway, I have split this property into 3 pieces. This with Capital Bank, I brought you a plat to see that this property was a whole, and it was financed through Capital Bank, who has just now sold to FSU and have been dragging their feet to give me my releases on each three pieces of property because I'm trying to get a refinance on the piece of property that we're talking about so that I have finances to do what I need to do there.
Can I make a recommendation here? I'm not out of line. Now, we visited this property here, I think the last meeting, and voted to demolish the property and ordered it to be torn down.
That's what I see on the thing. I have a structural engineer that will be there in the morning at 10 o'clock.
Okay. I'm wondering, would the Housing Commission be receptive to letting him appeal to the City Commission to make the decision on this? Or is it something that since we've already made an order and it's been recorded, the minutes have been approved and everything, is it something that the City Commission needs to look at?
I'm asking you to please look at this for me. This house is not in that bad of a shape. It truly is not. And the guy will be there in the morning at 10 o'clock. I'm taking off work tomorrow just to be over there with him.
Let me find out what's legal here. I don't know what we can do legally. Okay.
Under Title 13, Section 3, 13, property owner, when an order has been entered in connection with this matter by the Housing Commission, then a request for appeal needs to be filed within 10 days after the final order. We know when the final order was actually signed relative to this matter.
But the paper on my property yesterday, is the reason I know about it, it just states that the 14th, it says May 14th across the top of the paper, and it says on the bottom of that to file an appeal, or I didn't.
We voted on this April 8th.
But when was an order actually entered by Mr. Winters?
I was actually here last month, but I work at the hospital 7 o'clock, and when I got here, you guys had been already gone for 30 minutes, and I didn't get to talk to you.
Basically, that's what the code says. There's nothing stopping this body from moving to amend its April 8th. You can move to amend the April 8th order to suspend any demolition 30 days if you want, if you know how to take that action.
I don't see any reason why we can't give him the opportunity
Right,
to
you can do that.
have to amend it and give him the chance to have the structural engineer in there.
We'll be there in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, we're not here to beat you up, man.
Yeah.
We just want clean air.
It's just not that. It's personal stuff with my kids.
I understand.
It's not.
And 16 hours is long.
That was
Which hospital
when I
do you
got
work
off
at?
I'm been up all day since.
Which hospital do you work at?
I work at Park Ridge Valley. I work with drug and alcohol.
I got you. Okay,
Well, why don't I make a motion that we move 30 days?
Amend
To
our-
amend
And
the
the
order,
April 8th order.
the April 8th order.
June the 10th.
Yeah, June 10th, give him the opportunity to have.
It should all be taken care of. Actually, FSU has told me this week they'll have me my releases as far as how much on each piece of property that's going to be equal the whole, because I've got a loan on the entire property, but had it split, so they wouldn't give me the release because it's Capital Bank selling to FSU. I don't really know, so they just put a whole.
I think you dropped the pen on the floor down
Do we
there.
have a second?
Now second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to amend the previous order and to give him the opportunity to, June the 10th, to come back with a structural engineer's report. The main thing we want is property cleaned up.
I want it nice. I do.
Clean that up to code and make it a, vital part of the CB street here. Okay,
You asked me last
second.
time for the truck to be moved. I moved, but the truck is moved too. There was 3 things you asked me. One of the things was done anyway. I got that one.
Board member
Roll call
Brewer?
vote.
Board
Yes.
member Brewer?
Yes.
Board member Rogers?
Yes.
Board member Stevens? Yes. Board member Wilson?
Yes.
Chairman Winters?
Yes. All right, you got 30 days to get your report, just don't ignore us. Come back to the report, and we'll turn it in again. We have any other business to come forward? Housing Commission? Okay. All right, no other business, we're adjourned.